Welcome to the show. Now please strap in for the truth and remember the words of the great Tom Cruise.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Now welcome to Off Topic on Porn.
All right, well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever this may find you, O-Toppers. We are back for part 2 of our Nigerian interview with Caroline. Russell, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Caroline, we hope you are still doing well. Thanks for sticking around for the second part of this interview. It has been fantastic. We are learning a lot. You are really giving us stuff that, I got to be honest, Russell, I don't know about you, but this isn't stuff I'm hearing on the news.
No, shockingly, it's not, is it?
Right.
And
yeah,
that's why we have to go to people
right.
that are actually there, like
Exactly.
Caroline.
Well, and because honestly, this isn't stuff, if I'm being honest, this isn't stuff that's going to make you feel good and go, oh, cool. And it's not spin worthy. It's just real worthy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not going to get you votes. It's going to just do the right thing. And you need to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's probably why. And plus, all the other issues that go with it. But let's dive right back in and let's get going on this interview, or on the part 2 of this interview, and let's get back to the to the topic at hand here with Nigeria. So Caroline, we were talking about the local churches when we stopped part 1. So are there local churches or organizations that are providing relief or rebuilding or counseling for the survivors?
Well, actually, there's no like a special body doing that. Just some churches and some organizations, some of them non-profit organizations doing one or two, but there are different response to this crisis. Some of them, or the known bodies I know, what they are doing are mounting pressures on the government to at least take this up and do something about it. But bodies providing reliefs and all that, there are no known bodies except if it's individual organizations and all that. Yes.
Okay. And then how we've talked a lot about other people. What is it? How it affects other people and how it affects the children or the displaced. How has this affected your own faith journey as you've dealt with this? As it has affected you? And you had mentioned your uncle, and how has this affected your own faith journey?
Well, nothing can drift me away from my love for God. That is one thing there. But then it's very painful to see a family member lost to this kind of thing. In fact, they demanded a lot of money in their kidnapping, and especially the kidnapping. Many things affected me personally, but this kidnapping was very hurtful. Now they demanded a lot of money, and he still died in detention. And after the money is being paid, you know, he wasn't released. It was someone who escaped that came out and said, "This is so person is dead there." So but that doesn't affect my faith from God. I will always choose God. God is love. God is power. God is everything opposite of darkness. And just like other Christians, I still stand on holding on to Christ. My family, we are all Christians. We still serve God. We still, despite all we're going through, we still serve God.
Russell, why don't you go ahead? We've talked about the government, and Russell, I know you love
Yes.
you love you love those government issues. I'm going to let you handle the government.
Oh, yes.
But Caroline, thank you for. I want to
I
say
mean, how
this,
can
though.
you not love government issues?
Right. But Caroline, I want to thank you for real quick for opening up, because I know that was a very personal answer, and so I want to thank you for sharing that with us, and our condolences too on those personal losses. But also, I want to say that it's just such a refreshing thing to see people who, in the midst of trials, because that actually spurs me on in my faith. Because while I don't have to deal with that persecution the way that you do, it does bring the Bible to life when Jesus says, "Who are my mother and my brother but these?" and we know we are to choose the Lord above all. But it is so encouraging to be able to talk to someone who has had to say, I have experienced atrocities, and though he may slay me, still I will
Yeah.
follow. And so I just want to commend you, not that you need my commendation, but I also want to thank you for giving us an example of what it means literally to say, though he slay me, or though he may slay a family member, whatever, it didn't go the way that I necessarily prayed, still will I choose to follow the Lord every day. And God is love, and God does love me, and he loves us. And so thank you for that just vivid example of what that actually means, and to walk that out. I just, it's such an inspiration, honestly. So Russell, government.
All right. Well, um, thanks for the spiritual angle on everything, Rob, before tossing the government issues to me.
That's how we do
But
it, buddy.
so I think I can surmise from what you've said earlier, Caroline, that the government's not doing enough. The government of Nigeria. Have they responded at all to the violence?
Yes, some of this violence they respond, some of them they don't. And the last response we got from the government was that the government said it's land disputes. That's all that was it. And we're doing all we can. We're doing all we can to put everything to control everything. And that is all they said. But we're hoping they begin to actually really do something about it.
Wow.
And
Well,
it's so many bodies are criticizing the government of not doing enough. So many bodies, international bodies. In fact, the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Africa has approved sanctions on Nigeria due to the widespread killing of Christians and religious violence. So there are many people who are complaining that the government isn't doing enough, because if they really were, this should have been curtailed.
so what about local authorities? I mean, I know we're talking about the, the central government of Nigeria, but what about local authorities and their protecting of Christian villages? Are they complicit in looking the other way, or are they trying
You
to
mean
help in some way?
you mean like the police or military?
Yeah, yes, and that, I mean, I don't know
Well,
what
unfortunately,
I don't know if you
un-
have a city council or and mayors or what have you. That's what we have here. But whatever the equivalent of that is there, are they actually paying attention to this? Are they engaging the law enforcement officials of the communities?
I think the major part should be on the government, because the local authorities are actually trying their best, but
Good.
these terrorists have sophisticated weapons, and even the local authorities are not even equipped. I don't know if you've heard about it, but our police, our military, they have shortage of ammunition. They have shortage. In fact, they're not really well taken care of self. So
Hmm.
in fact, when they come before these terrorists, those people hold higher guns. They even use they use drones now to finish people. So it's like they are even more powerful than the local authorities. So it still
Okay.
boils down to the government to really attend to taking care of the military, ensuring everything they need is there, and you know tactically um solving this issue.
Okay. So the central government is essentially turning a blind eye and saying it's land disputes and so forth and coming up with excuses. The local authorities who are willing to try to protect their citizenry are not equipped enough to do it in most cases, it sounds like. So,
Yeah.
so then let me turn to this. What role could or should the international community play in addressing this crisis?
Well, for that, I would say more awareness. That's the first thing. I really wish the world knew much of, because the mainstream media is really not talking about these killings. Even if it were not even to be tagged Christian, what are you saying about the people that are being killed? But the mainstream media is really not talking about it, and And why people are dying, the world doesn't know. But when the world knows, the world can come together and, if possible, place sanctions, put an eye on this issue, and then prayer. Another thing I would like is prayer, because prayer works wonders. So
Yeah.
when Christians all over the world come together and pray, I believe God will perform wonders. So
Yeah, I mean, prayer is the most important thing. And we really, when we say that, we actually mean that we believe God will hear it, and that God does things that we don't even see, and results come oftentimes in ways we are not expecting. So absolutely, we agree with you on that.
Well, and also just to put a plug in here, Russell, one of the things that we've done, and you can if you go to the comment section and you go to the description, we've put a link in there where you can download a PDF of how you can pray for
Yes,
Nigeria. So you can get your
that's
own
right.
copy right now while you're watching. You don't have to stop. You can just scroll a little bit and you can click on a link and it'll open, and you can download your own how you can pray and how you can help, pray for Nigeria, and join in this join in prayer. So that's a practical step you can take right now if you want to,
Yes.
you're saying, well, I don't know that I don't know where to go or where to send this or what to do, and I don't have a plane ticket and I'm not that person. You don't have to be. Prayer moves the hand of God. You just have to be somebody who's willing to pray faithfully for those people who are in the midst of this battle. So we have that for you, and it is in the comments and it is in the description section.
So have you seen, Caroline, any meaningful help from international non-governmental organizations of different sorts, or from churches, or from other governments that are not, non-Nigerian governments?
well, just like I mentioned, the the there are many places you know some, not many, I won't say many because many people are not aware, but there are some
Yeah,
people who are, like I mentioned before, the US House Foreign Affairs
yeah.
Subcommittee on Africa. They approved sanction on Nigeria due to the widespread killings of the Christians. That is one. And but not much of other, I think it's basically just that, not much of other, is mainly states within Nigeria, like the Benue State House of Assembly, that summoned security um leads to brief them on the ongoing killings. So aside the briefing, but international communities or international bodies really doing much. They are not aware, so how can they do? How can they even do what can they do to help when they are not even aware? So not much is really being done about it.
Well, I think Rob and I believe that more should be done.
Yes, no,
Yes.
I 100% agree with that.
So then let me just be point blank here, and please give me a direct answer. Give us a direct answer,
Yep.
as direct as you feel like you need
Okay.
to. What can Christians in the United States and Christians around the world do to help and do to stand with persecuted believers in Nigeria? Besides, let me just say, you've already mentioned prayer. We know this already. So beyond that.
Beyond that, I think there should be more pressure on our governments. I think
Okay.
that is one major thing I would really like to see, more pressure on our government to address this, and if possible, so where help is needed, for maybe military or whatever, to really clear this, because the story is a bit deep. There are different school of thoughts of how these people came to be in Nigeria, but then when they were done with whatever they hired them for, they didn't leave. They did not leave, and they started terrorizing the people. But that is in quotes what they are, just different school of thought. But I really wish um the US, other countries with more ability and weapons and strength should actually, aside putting pressure in our government, any way they can help discuss, although that's still putting pressure in our government, discuss with the president how they can actually release military, trained military, because our military are lacking weapons and different things. So we actually need help. And I just wish there's more pressure on our government. Yes.
So on that note, just to let you know, just to let our listeners know, one of the things that we have that is where you can practically help, because I know a lot of people would say, well, I can't put pressure on the government, or I don't know,
Yes, you
I
can.
don't know President Trump personally right now. Well, that's not the point. You can, and you can let your voice be heard. So if you, and
Yes.
again, this will be in the comments, this will be in the description. There is a petition to stand with the those who have died in Nigeria and those who are still facing persecution. And so there's a link, change.org backslash stand with Nigeria. The link is actually in the comments. All you have to do is click on it and then sign the petition. And if you do that, what will
I think
happen?
we may have lost her.
We may have lost Caroline. We'll let her get back, but we'll talk for a second while we're waiting.
Yes.
You can actually stand with Nigeria. You can sign that petition, and by signing that petition, the more signatures we get, then the more pressure that we can actually put on our elected officials. So
Yes.
you can then go ahead and do that, and that will begin to put pressure, and that is a practical step you can take to do that. And it's a few button clicks. It just takes the time to click the link, put your name, put your email address so they can verify who you are, and then you're done. And so that is something, a lot of times, Russell, I think we always say, well, I'm just a person. Nobody cares. But when people
Mhm.
band together and they take the time to actually say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the time to go ahead and say, you know, let me do this. Let me spend an extra 2 minutes to do this. That's the thing. And so to me, it actually goes to the point of, is this important enough? Are these people who are dying for their faith important enough for your time to take it to a few extra button clicks? And I know people are like, well, that's a hard sell. But here's the thing. These are people who are dying, and we have to ask ourselves the question of, is it important enough that you go ahead and click the button? You know what I'm saying? And at
Yeah,
that
I mean,
point,
and honestly, that's not, people will say that's a hard sell. That's ridiculous.
yeah, well,
These are people. These are living, breathing people. These are children, babies. These are for the Christian. These are our brothers and sisters in the Messiah and Christ.
yeah,
And even for those who are not Christians, these are people from a Christian standpoint. These are people that Jesus died for. And even if you don't subscribe to that, these are still valuable lives, valuable
yeah,
human beings who are
absolutely.
having an atrocity perpetrated upon them. And it's very easy for us to retreat into our comfortable corners here in the United States
Yes,
and pontificate over how it's not our responsibility. But actually, knowledge makes it our responsibility. So part of what we're trying to do, I think you'll agree with this, Rob,
yep,
is we're taking this knowledge as far as we can to as many people as we can, so that now you are responsible,
right,
whether you affirm it or not. And I don't mean to get into your face. Well, actually, I do mean to get into your face
right,
about this, because this is important, and and I'll just say it's not only in the nation of Nigeria.
sure,
This is just the launching point.
right,
This is a problem in a lot of places in the
yeah,
world.
right.
So,
And it's easier. It's
and
not.
hopefully we'll get around to addressing some of those as well.
We will, yeah, hopefully, yeah. I mean, it just depends. But I think honestly, in this instance, it's easier to stay in our bubble. You know what I'm saying? And our bubble, by the way, is slowly, it seems like, popping. But it it
Yes.
it just seems easier to say, well, that's happening over there. Well, hey,
Right.
here's the problem. You know what? Jesus commanded us to go to the nations, and we're supposed to care about those people. And you know what?
Well, and this is a love your neighbor as yourself
I don't.
thing.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
would you want someone to respond were this in your backyard
Yeah,
or coming to your family?
sure. I mean, hey, give you a perfect example. When Hurricane Helene hit and everybody
Yeah.
and towns were wiped off the map, people
Yes.
wanted help from their neighboring states. Well, okay, if you wanted that help because you were in trouble, how much more if you're dying just for your faith? You know what I'm saying? And so at that point, you kind of need to give what you're wanting as well. You want help, make sure we're giving help, and I don't think it's out of line to 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 ask for that, and to expect that especially from fellow believers. So
Yeah,
I think honestly, at this point, we may have to have a part 3 with Caroline. She
you
may
might have
be
to.
experiencing.
I'm actually reaching out to her by text here to see if she maybe she's having some kind of Wi-Fi problems or something.
Yeah, which is fine
It's
because
too bad. We were kind of moving toward the finale of all of this, and that happens. But
well, but I think we did get a lot of good information, and so we can say this again in the comment section and and we'll pin it to the top, but also in the description. We have
yeah,
the petition you can sign. We also have
yes,
the prayer points where you can download your own copy so that each day you can pray for Nigeria. That doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't. We're not asking you for.
there
Oh,
she is.
she's back. Hey, Caroline, how you doing?
I'm so sorry. The network, my internet here got disconnected.
It's all right.
No problem.
You
So
gave us plenty of time to talk.
don't worry, Russell and I can talk. That's really okay. We filled the void. It's really
Yeah.
okay. But everybody's really
Thank
glad that
you.
you're back. So, so no. So we were moving. Russell had made the comment just before he came back on. We were actually moving toward kind of the end of the interview, but really the pinnacle, and that kind of is going to we'll talk about how can listeners, because we have a guide, but really tell us, they can maybe write this down and come back to this portion. How can listeners um, pray specifically for the persecuted church in Nigeria?
Yeah.
Well, well, I would say listeners should pray for the persecuted, um, for God to give them strength to carry on, to keep holding on to Him, and for them to keep standing strong, and also for intervention, for safety of people, and for God should hasten the intervention, because it's an unpleasant situation to see people dying, women and children and innocent lives. So when praying, pray to God for the strength to be steadfast in His will, and also for solution to come to these killings.
Okay. And if somebody wanted to give practical aid, what is the best way to do so without that being misused? Because we don't want it to go and be funneled to some other place. Like if they wanted to practically give aid, how could they do that and make sure that it's used correctly?
If they what?
If they wanted
Give
to give aid, like if they wanted to, send medical supplies or send, money or aid or something like that, how could
Is
they
there a
do
way
that?
to do that?
Is there a way to do that right now?
Right now, I don't really know. I won't. I don't really know how they're going to do that, but hopefully we'll find out more on that. And
Okay.
Okay. So
And
that'll give us something to explore
it'll give
also
us something
then.
to explore, but also
yeah,
we want to let everybody know that this is not a one-time interview. We're going to keep checking in with Caroline periodically, probably once a quarter, and bringing you up to date kind of information. And there's some other people that she knows that we may try to get on as well. So we just want you to know this isn't a one-time thing. We're going to really try to make sure that we check in with with Caroline, and really hopefully continue to bring you the news that is really matters there, and is not just this one-time thing, and hopefully that's it, because we really do want to care more than just one time. It's not one time and we did our thing. We want to make sure that we're staying up and really trying to make a difference and see this all the way through. So, and then just finally, Caroline, the last question: what message of hope or encouragement would you like to leave with our audience today?
I'll tell you to keep holding on to God, keep trusting in God, keep whatever you're going through. There are people going through worst, so hold on to your God, and God will see you through everything in life, every situation in life. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
Caroline, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. Your courage and your faith and love are both humbling and inspiring, honestly. So, um, Russell, did you want to say anything to our listeners?
Well, Rob is pretty much said a lot of the important stuff as far as what is available. But I hope I would say, I hope you've been moved, not just with compassion, but also with some conviction. Um, these are not distant problems. We've kind of addressed that a little bit in our discussion a while ago during the time when Caroline got booted off and some of the things that we said.
Yeah.
They are struggles, and they are struggles that are being endured by our family in Christ, by our brothers and sisters in the Lord. Scripture tells us in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 3, to remember those in bonds as bound with them, as though we were bound up with them, and them which suffer adversity as being ourselves also in the body. In other words, we're to come alongside and say, well, if what is paining you pains us too, because we are one body in Christ.
Yeah.
So what can we do? We can pray specifically for protection, for strength, for hope for the persecuted believers in Nigeria, and we should do that. We can raise awareness by sharing their stories so that they're not forgotten. And that's one of the main things that we hope people take away from this. I have discovered that Christians will pray.
Yep.
Serious Christians will pray.
Absolutely.
And thank the Lord for that.
Yes.
But we have a real struggle, especially here in the West, with passing the word along. The way we normally do that is, I'm going to tell somebody, okay, I'm done. I told somebody I'm going to move along and watch the next TV program or whatever, go to my next podcast or what have you. That's not going to cut it. We really need to be purposeful when it comes to these sorts of things here. And so that really is, I think, what Rob and I, there's other things, but that's one of the main things Rob and I hope that you will take away. We can raise awareness by sharing the stories of our brothers and sisters so they're not forgotten. And we can support organizations that are providing real aid on the ground, like food, shelter, trauma care, rebuilding efforts. And let's not forget to petition, sign that petition, but contact all you Americans here. Contact your U.S. representatives and senators. And after you've contacted them, get your friends and family to do it. And then after you've done that, come back and contact them again. And then contact them again. And then contact them again. The only way this changes is if our government, who we're trying to compel to make a difference where their government is concerned, if our government sees that we are paying attention to this. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we tell them we are. So, I'm not trying to get in everybody's face on this, and yet I am. It's that important. So, Rob, that's what I have. Back to you, sir.
And we have those links in the description, in the comments pinned below. And again, remember, by signing the petition, you're taking a stand, and you're standing with our fellow brothers and sisters who are being persecuted. So please sign that petition, share this with your friends, share the podcast, like, subscribe. If you'd like to comment and you'd like to ask Caroline further questions, I'm sure we'll get those to her. You can always email us at otopnow@gmail.com, and we will ask those questions to her, and we can get back to you, or excuse me, things like that. And again, this will not be the last time that we have Caroline on the broadcast. So again, also to just make sure that we get our sponsors recognized. One of our sponsors on Off Topic On Point is Mountain Mowers LLC. So if you're in the Tri-County area, and they are your local experts for keeping your yard looking its best, whether it's mowing, trimming, or full lawn care, Mountain Mowers has you covered with reliable service and a personal touch. They know every yard is different, and they treat yours like their own. So if you're ready for a lawn that stands out without all the hassle, call Mountain Mowers LLC today at 276-730-8230. Mountain Mowers, they cut your grass, not corners. So again, thank you all for listening. Caroline, thank you so much for being with us. It truly has been our pleasure to have you.
Yes.
And we can't say thank you
Thank you
enough.
for having me here.
So, and Russell, as always, what we want to tell our listeners, our O-toppers, as we call them, is you don't always have to be on topic. You can be off topic, but you must always be On point.
On point.
That's right, Caroline. You know, on point.
All right, Caroline.
Yes. So we thank you for listening. Have a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever this finds you, and we will see you on the next episode of Off Topic, On Point. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening today to Off Topic On Point. We want to remind you of our email address if you'd like to contact us. It's otopnow@gmail.com. That's otopnow@gmail.com. And as always, we want to leave you with this. It's okay to be off topic. Just make sure you're always on point. All right. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.